And we are back with the third segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this third segment, we're going to be doing a quick recap of all the NBA games that went down last night. So we're going to start with Warriors going up against Houston because earlier this season, well, not really that much earlier, but like a week ago, when Houston was on a roll and when Houston was winning a bunch of games and they were on that 10-game winning streak, it seemed like they were going to catch up the Golden State Warriors and eventually beat them to the play-in. But ever since then, the standings, they haven't changed at all. The Warriors, they've been winning the important games, and then Houston has sort of cooled off now and is starting to lose all of these important games. And one of the biggest games that they needed to win was going up against the Warriors last night, and they ultimately ended up getting blown out 133 to 110. And it's really like, it was very, very ironic because there was a player on Houston that was sort of taunting them. He was taunting the Warriors. I'm going to pull up his exact quote real quick. But essentially, he was saying, "Warriors come out to play," in a reference to the movie The Warriors. And Draymond Green, he did not like that. Obviously, he did not like being taunted. It was Rockets forward Tari Eason, by the way. He was saying, "Warriors come out to play," that type of thing on his Instagram. And obviously, the Warriors, they took it personally, especially Draymond Green, who was very quick to talk on his podcast. I'm going to see, do I have the exact quote? No, I don't have the exact quote of what Draymond Green said, but I do know he wasn't happy with being taunted like that. And what he did say after the game, however, because ironically, the forward, Eason, he did not play in that game. And afterwards, Draymond Green said, "It's kind of ironic how you say Warriors come out to play when you're sitting on the bench." He was literally sitting on the bench while the Warriors were playing, and he watched the Warriors blow them out. It was not a good matchup, and it was definitely, I think they had it going for them before they started talking, Houston. And them talking just awoke, it opened a spark for the Warriors. Draymond Green, he said, "I'm not worried about Houston." And then Houston decides to respond. Now Draymond is going to take it personally, and the rest of the squad is also going to take it personally if Draymond takes it personally. And that's just not a good matchup that's just not something that you want. I have a lot of comments coming in from Corrido. Warriors' new five is with Curry, Clay, Wiggins, Green, TJD, and they're 10th offensively and 3rd defensively. Warriors' old five was 7th offensively but 15th defensively. And if I was Steve Kerr, which five do I keep out? And I mean, there was really nothing wrong with the first five that you just mentioned. The first five that prioritizes defense, I feel like that's the matchup that's the lineup that you have to keep out there because you're going into the playoffs. And when you're going into the playoffs, you need that defense and you need that. You're going to get production on offense, but you need to make sure that your defense is solid enough to be able to stop the other team because defense is much more consistent than offense. And when you have good defense, it makes your offense a little bit better because, again, less pressure, less expectations, and that means the offense is just going to get better and better, especially since you can turn defense into good offense. So, and the Warriors, they're really good at doing that. So I think the first lineup that you mentioned is the lineup that they should go with into the playoffs. Now, he also has one more comment here, a realistic what if Jonathan Kuminga does not want to come off the bench and he makes a big drama in the media about it. I do not think he would really have a problem with that if he ends up getting enough minutes because he's already proven himself to be worthy of starting, and he's already proven himself to Steve Kerr as well. So having Steve Kerr sit him out, I think that would be an insult. Like, not really sit him out, but having him benched, it would really be an insult. So there's nothing wrong with coming off the bench, especially if you can pull off, like, playing 30 minutes coming off the bench or 20 minutes coming off of the bench. I don't think that's a bad thing, especially in terms of a production standpoint for Golden State. But that's just me. So, again, final score, 133-110, and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, they were on fire tonight, 29 points from both of them. And Klay Thompson shot 7 for 11 from 3. Steph Curry shot 2 for 6 from 3. But a win is a win is a win. And it seems that Klay Thompson, he also took it personally. He's got 4 rings. But regardless, like, that was basically like the most anticipated matchup going into last night. 76ers, they matched up against the Heat. Again, Joel Embiid, he did return from his injury. And it ultimately was the deciding factor to them winning this game in the end. Embiid ended up dropping 29 points, and Tyrese Maxey ended up dropping 37 points and 11 assists. They both combined for, let me just do quick math real quick, 66 points. So obviously, like, this duo was very dangerous, and when Embiid was healthy, it was very scary what this team was going to do. Even though, like, I don't think their playoff chances, like, they're going to increase despite this win. I still think this team is going to either just make it to the second round and that's it, or if they match up against Boston, depending on how the seedings go, they're going to lose. So, but regardless, great performance coming in from the Sixers, and not so great performance coming in from the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler, he played 40 minutes and was only able to get 20 points. And Terry Rozier ended the game with 22 points on 7 for 20 from the field. Bam Adebayo went 6 for 15. For 14 points, so he got ridiculously outdueled by Joel Embiid in that matchup. Hiccups, excuse me. But a lot of the media, they have a lot of faith in this Miami Heat team, and I genuinely do not understand why. I understand they are very good in the postseason, and they always make these crazy postseason runs, but, like, what makes us think that they're going to do it again? I don't understand. And now with the standings and how they look, the Heat, they're in the 7th seed. They used to have the 6th seed, but now they have the 7th seed. And it seems like the Sixers, if they're able to keep this winning streak up with Joel Embiid, they might hold that 6th seed and they might go up against the Cavs in the first round. And if they go up against the Cavs in the first round, I have a feeling that the Sixers are going to end up winning against that team. But that's just my thought on that, and those are the possibilities going into the future of, like, what could happen. Now, next game on this list is the Clippers going up against the Denver Nuggets. Now, the Clippers, they ended up winning by 2. This was a very, very important win for the Clippers. They absolutely needed that to sort of keep their confidence going. James Harden, he's sort of been in a weird slump where he's not really shooting the ball that well. He's not really scoring the ball that well, and it was a little bit concerning. Paul George wasn't really concerned about it, though, because, like, he was sort of brushing it off. But looking at the box scores, Paul George, he ended the game with 28 points. James Harden ended the game with 20 points on 6 of 23 from the field. So, again, shooting slump really bad. And that was basically it in terms of scoring for the Clippers. They were shorthanded on Kawhi Leonard, and they were still able to beat this Denver Nuggets team without Kawhi, which is a problem if you're the Nuggets. Jokic ended the game with 36, 17, and 10, and he's still lost. Like, again, that is not ideal if you're Denver, especially going into the playoffs, because it just proves the notion that you are indeed beatable, especially to the Clippers. They need that confidence, and you sort of cannot allow the Clippers to gain that confidence or that traction. And again, that was basically all in terms of scoring for the Nuggets. Aaron Gordon, he ended the game with 18 points. KCP ended the game with 16. And Michael Porter Jr. ended the game with 14 on 6 of 18 from the field. So no Jamal Murray in this game, which is probably why they ended up losing. But still, like, I mean, when you have... The team has already proven itself to be more than competent to be able to win games without Jamal, as long as Jokic provides and produces on the offensive side. And this was just a really, really bad way to go out for the Denver Nuggets. Now, Another game that went down was the Knicks going up against the Kings. The Knicks ended up winning 120 to 109. And what was really, really good about this win is that they were down by 20. The score was 46 to 25 with 8 minutes and 39 seconds left in the second quarter. And the Knicks ultimately ended up coming back from this deficit to beat the Kings. And this is without Julius Randle, who I might as well take the time to update everybody on his injury status. He apparently over recovery, like while he was recovering, he re-aggravated his injury on his arm, and he tried to avoid surgery, but there was just no going back, and there was no way that he could recover without getting surgery. And that's really bad news coming in for the Knicks. But the fact that they were able to win in this game against a very competent Kings team is definitely a positive going into the playoffs for them. Josh Hart ended the game with 31 points, and Jalen Brunson ended the game with 35 and 11, and DiVincenzo ended the game with 21. So again, the Villanova brothers are going at it, and they are producing for this team. And this is definitely what the Knicks need since they don't have Julius Randle going into the playoffs. And that was basically all in terms of scoring for this team. And Josh Hart, by the way, he had 31 points, and he did not make a single three-pointer. He had 31 points on 14 of 19 shooting from the field, which is astonishing. And he's very, very valuable to this Knicks team. And honestly, all of those Villanova brothers, they're very valuable to this Knicks team. I hope that the Knicks, they don't break up this team. I hope they don't break up the Villanova boys, because I know they like playing with each other. They've been playing with each other since college, and it's just chemistry just all the way through. It's very nice to see. Now, De'Aaron Fox for the Kings, he ended the game with 29 points. Sabonis ended with another double-double, 17 points and 11 rebounds. And let's see, who else played well? Keegan Murray ended the game with 18 points. And let's see, did Monk play in this game? No, he did not play in this game. So again, it was very embarrassing loss for the Kings, especially being up by that much. So they definitely need to tighten up going into the play-in, because they could see themselves losing in the play-in and not even making the playoffs, which would be bad news. Now, the Mavericks, they've been on a roll recently with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, and they ended up winning against the Atlanta Hawks 109-95. Luka ended the game with 25 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists. Kyrie ended the game with 26 points and 5 rebounds and just 1 assist. PJ Washington, he ended the game with 19 points and 8 rebounds. And Derrick Jones Jr. ended the game with 14 points. Daniel Gafford only ended with 6. And again, that was basically it in terms of scoring for the Mavericks. And when you have Luka Doncic on your team, you're ultimately a threat to every single playoff team, especially the Phoenix Suns. So we'll see how the Mavericks' playoff hopes they play out. It seems that they're going to be playing against the Clippers in the first round, which is not ideal, because the Clippers, they have a history of beating Luka Doncic several times. Even if Luka performs and dominates the way he does against the Clippers, it doesn't result in wins. And that's something that this Mavericks team is going to have to overcome going into the postseason. Now, with the Hawks, they've already clinched a play-in spot, and it's set in stone that they're going to match up against the Chicago Bulls, because the gap between the Bulls and the Sixers record is like a 5-game difference, and it doesn't really seem like there's going to be much of a changing in the seedings, depending on whether they lose out or if they win out. So they matched up against the Mavs, and DeAndre Hunter ended the game with 13 points. Jalen Johnson ended the game with 6 points and 16 rebounds. Bogdan Bogdanovic ended the game with 17 points and 7 rebounds. And DeJounte Murray ended the game with only 16 points. And obviously, that's not enough scoring if you're going up against the Dallas Mavericks. They were not efficient from the field whatsoever. But Bogdanovic ended the game shooting 6 of 15. DeJounte Murray ended the game 6 for 17. DeAndre Hunter ended the game 3 for 10. And Jalen Johnson ended the game 3 for 12. So again, not very efficient scoring coming in from the Hawks, and it's not something that they want going into the postseason or the play-in tournament, because if they're expected to to win out, I don't expect them to win out, and I really don't expect them to win in the play-in, especially with the offensive display that they have. But that's basically it for the NBA recap. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the fourth segment a little bit early, where I'm going to talk about Doc Rivers. I said before that in a previous podcast that I did that I was going to talk about Doc Rivers again once the season concluded and like my overall opinions on him, because I did a prediction before like the Doc Rivers process was going on. And so I'm just going to give everybody an update on where the Bucks are at right now and the Doc Rivers situation. So I will be right back after this short break.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.